Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Children's Church Online. My name is Jenny Blake, and I'm the children's pastor here at BMC. If you have never been here before, I welcome you, and I hope you enjoy this lesson. If you enjoy this lesson, please would you consider giving it a big thumbs up? That would mean the world to me. So, what we like to do is we like to warm up. So make sure that you guys have enough space and let's get into it. I hope you guys are still standing because this song needs a lot of movement. So we should get into our worship song. Are you ready? Are you stretched? Are you warm? Well, you're going to be after the song. And now it's time for story time. So let's take a seat, take a deep breath in, and a deep breath out. Okay. Before we begin, let's say the Lord's Prayer. So close your eyes, hands together. You can follow along with me or say it in your own language. All right. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. All right. So, last week we learned about Noah, and the week before that we learned about Adam and Eve. Today we are learning about another family, which also is related to Adam and Eve. This family is known as Abraham and Sarah. So, I want you to think about something quickly. What does it mean to make a promise to someone or to yourself? So, have you ever made a promise that seemed easy at the time, but turned out to be really hard? Like maybe you promised to keep your room clean for an entire week, Or maybe you promised that you would definitely walk your dog and feed it every day and clean up after it every day if your mom and dad just got you this puppy. You promised you would look after it. It's not very easy, is it? But we try our best, right? Right? We don't keep our promises 100% of the time, do we? We might have really good intentions to do what we say we'll do, but sometimes we forget or decide that we'd rather do something else. There is only one person in the whole world that can keep their promises. Can you guess who it is? It's God. Okay. Today we're going to hear a story about how God called a man named Abraham to follow him, and we'll hear the promises that God made to Abraham. We'll learn that God uses people he calls to fulfill his promises. Okay, so before we start, in the story I'm going to read to you, it calls him Abraham and Sarah. But God hasn't changed their names just yet. So when a name is changed, especially back in the day, it was really, really important. And the only one who could change a name was God. So it was almost like a divine intervention, if that makes sense. So right now, their names are Abraham and Sarah. Okay. Sounds similar, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to be reading from the Bible app for kids, which is on my phone. And you can get it on your phone too by going to your app store. And it comes from Genesis 12, verses 1 to 9, and also chapter 15, 1 to 7. And we are going to read. Abraham lived in Haran. Abraham, God said, I want you to leave Haran and go to another land. God didn't tell Abraham where he was. Trust me, God said. Do this, God said, and your children will become a great nation. How? Wondered Abraham. His wife Sarah was too old to have children. Trust me, God said. Go where I tell you, God said, and you will have more descendants than the stars in the sky. They will bless the whole world. Trust me. So Abraham trusted God. He took Sarah, his nephew Lot, and everything they owned. He went where God told them to go. He went to the land of Canaan. When he arrived, Abraham camped at Shechem. God appeared to him. I will give you this land to you and your children, God said. So Abraham built an altar to God there. Abraham traveled around God's promised land. He was glad that he trusted God, so he built another altar and gave thanks to God for all that had been promised. Can you imagine just getting up one day and leaving everything behind? Everything that's familiar to you and going to another country where you didn't know anyone. How do you think you would have felt or responded to God? It must have been really, really difficult for Abraham to leave behind 75 years worth of memories. But he trusted God and he obeyed. Abraham believed that God uses people he calls to fulfill promises. So Abraham packed up his family, his wife Sarah and his nephew Lot. Now Lot's an important character. We might hear about him in a couple of weeks' time. all of the people that worked for him and their belongings, and they set out for the land of Canaan, just like God had told him. God must have known that Abraham needed encouragement, because God also gave him this promise. From Genesis 12, verses 2 to 3, it says, I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse you. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. Wow. That's what a promise. God told Abraham that he would make his family so big that they would be their own nation. So that's kind of like their own country. God also said that this whole world would be blessed because of Abraham and his family. What makes this promise so miraculous is that Abraham is 75 years old. Now, most of our grandparents are around 75 years old, and Abraham didn't have any children yet, and Sarah was also pretty old too, and had come past the time where she could have her own children. Abraham might not have understood exactly how God was going to fulfill his promise, but he knew he could trust God and God's plan, because God calls people to fulfill his promises. So when Abraham and his family got to the land of Canaan, they built an altar. So generally this looked kind of like a whole stack of piled rocks, pretty much like a signpost. And they would take their sacrifices and their prayers to this altar to be reminded that God is there. Then God said from chapter 13, verses 14 to 17, lift up your eyes from where you are and look north and south. So look north and look south. Then east and then west. All the land that you see, I will give you and your offspring or children forever. I will make your children like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your children could be counted. Go walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. So if you think about sand, or if you think about the beach, think about that sand. Can you count how many grains of sand if you pick up just a handful? I don't have the time for that, so no. But they're so little, how are you meant to count them? So if we throw away the sand, and if we decide to go and look up into the sky tonight, let's hope it's a clear night, and we try and count all the stars that we can see. That's a lot of stars, isn't it? Now, if you've been to a place that doesn't have a lot of pollution, so maybe you've gone to the Kruger Park or somewhere in the middle of South Africa, and you look up into the sky, you can see there's even more stars than what we see back home. Now, if you try and count those stars, it's even harder, right? So that's what God is saying. There's going to be so many people that you can't even count them. As we continue through the story of Abraham, we'll see how God uses him in amazing ways to bring about the promises he made. So can you remember 3 things God promised Abraham? He would be a great nation. The world would be blessed through his family, and God would give him the land of Canaan. God promised that the whole world would be blessed through Abraham's family. You can see God knew that ever since Adam and Eve sinned in the Garden of Eden, people had a great problem. That problem was sin, and it separates them from God. God knew that these people needed to be rescued, but there was nothing they could do to save themselves. But God had a rescue mission, all planned out from the beginning. He would use Abraham and his family to bring about it. Did you know that Jesus was born into Abraham's family many years later though? God used Abraham to be the father of a great nation, and that nation was called the Israelites. And Jesus would come into the world through that nation. God would use Abraham's family to bring salvation to the entire world. Abraham had no idea at the time that what an important job God called him to do. But he trusted God and believed that God uses people he calls to fulfill his promises. God can and will use you one day to fulfill a promise. Trust in God, and God will lead the way. I can promise you that. And now we have come to the end of our lesson. Remember, there's no Sunday school because COVID is getting really scary. So remember to wear your masks, to sanitize, and to not go and visit too many people, or any people if you can help it. We must also remember all the blessings God has given us, so we should celebrate birthdays. So if it was your birthday this past week or today, I wish you a very happy birthday. And we should sing the birthday song to our friends. If you have any prayer requests or would like me to pray for you, you are very welcome to send your prayer requests to the email address listed below. And I will pray for you every day. I hope you guys are very safe, and I cannot wait to see you guys again when it's safe to do so. So look after yourselves and look after mom and dad. Love you lots and lots. Bye!
It's time to go home. It's time to go home. It's time to go